professional American narration, dark, controlled, cinematic. They wore the badge, they swore an oath. And for years no one suspected a thing. What happens when the people meant to protect you are the ones committing the crimes? Tonight, we uncover two investigations so disturbing, the FBI itself had to step in. Two trusted officers. Two separate cities, one terrifying truth. Sometimes the danger isn't on the streets. It's already inside the system. It was a quiet American town, the kind where neighbors waved, doors stayed unlocked, and police cars felt like a symbol of safety. In the early 1990s, life moved slowly here. Kids rode bikes until dark. Local diners knew your order. And crime was something that happened somewhere else. At least that's what people believed, because beneath the calm surface, something was rotting. And no one could see it yet. The first warning signs didn't come from a crime scene, they came from whispers. A missing evidence report, a case that collapsed for no reason, a suspect released without explanation. At first, supervisors brushed it off as paperwork errors, overworked officers, simple mistakes, but the mistakes kept happening. Again and again, and always around the same officer. He had been on the force for over a decade, decorated, respected, the kind of cop younger officers wanted to be. He knew the streets, knew the criminals, knew how the system worked. And more importantly, he knew how to hide. The first real break came from an unexpected place, an anonymous tip. No name, no address, just a message sent late at night. It claimed a police officer was running drugs through evidence lockers. Confiscated narcotics, never logged, never destroyed, sold right back onto the streets. Internal Affairs hesitated. Accusing a civilian was one thing, accusing a cop that was different. So they did what departments often do. They waited. Weeks passed, then months, until a routine traffic stop changed everything. A small time dealer was pulled over. And in his car, police, grade evidence bags, not street bags, official ones, the kind only found inside police stations. That's when Internal Affairs made the call they'd been avoiding. They contacted the FBI. Federal agents arrived quietly. No sirens, no announcements, no uniforms. They posed as analysts, auditors, paper pushers, but what they were really doing was watching everyone. The FBI started with surveillance. They followed the officer's movements, tracked his schedule, noted his patterns. And one thing stood out immediately. He spent more time alone in the evidence room than anyone else. Late nights, early mornings, unscheduled visits, always alone, always off the books. Then came the wiretaps. Phone calls, encrypted messages, burner phones, and slowly a second life emerged, a network of dealers. Middlemen, cash drops, all connected back to one badge. But the most disturbing discovery came from the evidence logs. Cases tied to violent offenders were quietly altered. Key items missing. Chain of custody broken. Cases dismissed. Criminals walking free because the evidence against them had vanished, not lost, removed. The FBI realized this wasn't just corruption. It was sabotage. Every missing file, every altered report. Someone had been deciding who went to prison and who didn't. And he wasn't using the law to decide. The turning point came during a controlled sting. Federal agents planted marked narcotics into evidence. Logged, photographed, sealed, then they waited. 3 days later, the drugs were gone, and security footage showed exactly who took them. The trusted officer, alone, calm, methodical, no hesitation, as if he'd done it 100 times before. The arrest happened at dawn. Federal agents surrounded his home. No badge this time, no respect, no second chances. Just handcuffs. Inside his house they found stacks of cash, unregistered firearms, multiple burner phones, and a ledger, a handwritten list, names, dates, payments. Some of those names belonged to other officers. The department was shaken. Press conferences were held. Statements were read. Apologies were made. But behind closed doors panic set in. Because this wasn't one bad cop. This was a system that had allowed him to operate for years. At trial, prosecutors laid it all out. Drug trafficking, obstruction of justice, federal conspiracy. The man who once testified in court now sat at the defendant's table. He was sentenced to decades in federal prison, but even today, investigators believe not everyone involved was ever identified. Some names in that ledger were never explained, and that raises a chilling question. If one officer could do this for so long, how many others were never caught? But this story doesn't end here, because in another city in another state, a different kind of corruption was unfolding. And this time, the victims weren't criminals. They were innocent. Coming up next, a missing persons case that exposed a uniformed predator hiding in plain sight. A case so disturbing, even seasoned FBI agents struggled to talk about it. End of part 1. If you want part 2 and part 3, second corrupt officer case plus devastating ending, written in the same dark American FBI Files style, just reply, continue. If this case disturbed you, subscribe for more true crime stories. Second corrupt officer case escalation. FBI exposure. By the time the FBI connected the dots, it was already too late for some of the victims. This second case didn't begin with drugs or missing evidence. It began with disappearances. Young women, different backgrounds, different neighborhoods, no clear pattern, at least not at first. The city was larger this time, a mid-sized American metro area, busy highways, endless strip malls. Thousands of police calls every week. When the first woman vanished, police assumed she'd left voluntarily. No signs of struggle, no witnesses, no digital trail, just gone. Then another woman disappeared, and then another. Each case was handled by different units, different detectives, different reports. No one saw the connection. Except one person. A junior FBI analyst reviewing missing persons date noticed something unsettling. Every disappearance occurred within a short distance of the same patrol route, the same shift, the same officer. At first it sounded impossible. The officer was known for being proactive, always first on scene, always volunteering for overtime. He'd even helped families file missing persons reports, comforted them, reassured them he was trusted. Which made the truth even more horrifying. The FBI quietly inserted themselves into the investigation. They reviewed years of bodycam footage, traffic stops, welfare checks, late night calls, hours turned into days. And then they saw it, a pattern. The officer routinely stopped women late at night, alone, often vulnerable. Minor infractions, broken taillights, expired tags. Then the footage would end. Camera malfunctions, battery failures. Corrupted files again and again, always with him. Investigators pulled GPS data from his patrol car. What they found chilled them. Unreported stops, detours off his assigned route, remote locations, places no officer should have been, especially off the clock. The FBI escalated the case immediately. Surveillance teams followed him. Unmarked vehicles, hidden cameras. For weeks nothing happened, until one night everything changed. A traffic stop, a young woman pulled over. The officer approached her car, but this time federal agents were watching. The stop lasted longer than normal, too long. The officer's car GPS showed movement, but the woman's vehicle stayed behind. Then suddenly his patrol car turned off its tracking system. That was the signal. Agents moved in. What they found saved one life. The woman was alive, terrified, restrained, and the officer was no longer pretending. He was arrested on the spot, the uniform stripped away, the badge removed, and once investigators searched his home, the full horror was revealed. Inside a locked room, they found personal belongings, jewelry, phones, clothing, items reported missing years earlier. Some of them belonged to women who were never found. Forensic evidence connected him to multiple disappearances. DNA, fibers, digital records. The case exploded into national headlines. A protector exposed as a predator. But the most disturbing part, Internal reports showed multiple complaints had been filed against him over the years. Ignored, dismissed, buried, because no one wanted to believe a cop could be capable of this. At trial, survivors testified. Families wept. The courtroom was silent as prosecutors detailed how authority had been weaponized, how trust had been used as bait. The officer was convicted on multiple counts: kidnapping, sexual assault, murder. He was sentenced to life in federal prison. No parole, no chance of freedom. Part 4 Aftermath, haunting reflection, ending 2 officers, 2 cities, 2 investigations that shattered public trust. One sold justice for cash, the other used his badge to hunt. And neither was caught quickly. The FBI later released a statement acknowledging a painful truth: corruption doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it wears a uniform, carries a badge, and earns your trust. Reforms were promised, policies rewritten. Oversight increased, but for the families left behind, none of it was enough, because the damage had already been done. Some victims were never found, some questions remain unanswered, and some names will never be spoken publicly. So the next time you see flashing lights in your rearview mirror, ask yourself this: how do you know who you can trust? If this case disturbed you, subscribe for more true crime stories.